So the way this story goes, it's a very sad story, and it's just very sad story. There's an apartment fire in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, around 9:30 a.m. 2 days ago, or day before yesterday, maybe yesterday. Actually, I think it was yesterday. Apartment fire in Brooklyn, New York. Mom comes home, says, I can't find my daughter. Fire crews go in and find a precious little baby girl who passed away, and the mom was working at a strip club. Wow. The fire broke out at 7:30 a.m. Mom comes home at 9:15 to fire crew, and the precious little baby girl passed away. So, first the mom said she wasn't working at a strip club. She was out having drinks with friends. Mind you, they call the dad over, and the dad's like, you said she was with a babysitter. Babysitter says, we had a dispute over wages. I wasn't watching the baby. So the precious little baby girl was home alone and passes away. Now, if you are angry at the mom, rightfully so, I think. But that's not the first thing I thought. That's what everybody was saying when I first saw that. But I usually like to talk about the first thing that came to my mind. No, the babysitter did not leave. The babysitter did not leave. I just want to clarify that. She never called the babysitter. She just left the baby at home and went and worked at a strip club. So I just want to clarify that. They had a dispute over wages over a prior sitting. She told the child's father that she was with the babysitter, but in fact she was just home alone. And of course, everybody on the internet was just like vilifying her. And she got charged with reckless endangerment of a child and something else. But she wasn't charged with murder. She was charged with reckless endangerment of a child. And I don't remember the other charge, at least for now. But my first thought was, that is the saddest thing. Like, not only are you embarrassed, but that is the worst possible thing. Because it's not like, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but it's not like stripping is the first choice for most people, right? You just want to take care of your kid. And this is honestly the first thing I thought of. This is the saddest news, having to bury your child. Even sadder when the reason you're burying your child is because of a decision you made, right? One of my worst fears is having to bury my children or my wife. And it like haunts me. I think about it far more often than I should, okay? Yes, we're talking about the fire that took place in Brooklyn. I think about it far more often than I should, and it kind of makes me like nervous about like a lot of things. But leaving my children overnight, man, they just gonna have to be like 18 years old. Because I know I don't think my parents left us home alone, but never overnight. And especially at 2. I mean, I would just be afraid they would somehow get the door open and walk out, right? So my first thought was, that is the saddest thing. The second thought was, this is why we need families to be families. Right? We have a society that is so, it's not family oriented as much as it should. The father is not in the home as much as he should be in. And that is the cause for a lot of reasons why our society is in the way it is. And if your father's not in the home, you need male figures. You need somebody to help. It's hard raising a kid. I envy single parents. Single dad, single mom. I don't envy them. I'm sorry. I don't envy single parents. Single mom or dad, raising one kid or 3. I don't even understand how people do it, because I'm raising 2 kids with my wife, And it is hard. It is hard to raise two kids, and we both work. We get job, you know, we make decent money. We're not struggling. And it's still hard. It's a lot of energy expended raising kids. Raising kids to be good, human, productive members of society takes a lot of time and energy. And doing it alone, it wasn't designed to be done alone. Raising children was not designed to be done alone. It takes so much work to raise kids. It's not like people who have to do it, you are just working really hard. Even if you're just doing the basics, even if you're just doing the basics of going to work and school, like going to work and they're going to school. But if you want to put them in sports and you want to meet, do parent-teacher conferences, they schedule those at like 2 o'clock. Right? It is hard. And when we don't have strong families, things like this happen. We have people making decisions, raising kids before they're ready and without the help and guidance of someone older and without the help of the other parent. And that's what happens. And that's why, a lot of things we could go into, like, this could stretch all the way into the penal system. The prison for profit system locks up disproportionately black fathers, black males, right? But a lot of times they've had kids. So then you have kids who are growing up without a father in their home, with a system that's disproportionately designed to arrest and incarcerate them for profit. And they're having kids, going to jail. And then the cycle just gets further and further removed. And when you're not raised with a father in the home, whatever sex you are, it's hard to develop the way you should have without. You can do it. It's just difficult, more difficult. Right? And this has been happening for a long time. And I thank the Lord above that my father married my mother and helped raise us, because without my dad, KevOnStage doesn't exist. Like, my mom was working 3 jobs to make ends meet. And that is when she still lived with my grandma and great-grandma and 2 uncles and an aunt helping her. And he took on 3 kids, because otherwise, I guarantee, let me tell you what would have happened, guys. I'm going to tell you what my life would have been, okay? I would have had some kids out of wedlock, because the path I was going down, it was going to end in me having some kids out of wedlock. It just was going to. Okay, I'd be stuck in El Paso forever and just would not be where I am. I wouldn't be where I am. The reason, like, people look at my family like, oh, Kevin, Liz, oh, Zay and Joe, oh. The only reason I am the way I am is because I had a father who showed me, without ever saying, Kevin, this is how you love a woman. My mom's disabled. She's legally blind. She cannot see. Ever since Donna Goodo did that, that has been my joke from my mom, because she is legally blind and she cannot see. But my dad showed me how to love a woman, raise a family, raise men, without saying, Kev, this is how you love a woman. He just did it with actions. He just did it consistently, day in, day out, year in, year out, without apology, without excuse, without desire for a pat on the back. Raised 3 kids and made them his own. And that's the only reason I know how to be a dad. Because otherwise, I was basing my life off my brother. And my brother was my brother. Like, it wasn't until I started growing up and be like, yo, my dad really is the one that got this out here, how you got to do it. And otherwise, I want to be like my brother. My brother was out here having children out of the wedlock. So I said all that to say, I don't think I'm better than anybody in this world. But I'm thankful that I had a family structure that gave me a chance. And I'm not saying that if you're a single parent, your kids don't have a chance. Please don't. I'm saying the reason I know how to be a father is because I saw a father in action. The reason I know it's okay to kiss and hug my kids, because my dad kissed me on the head like every day that I lived in his house. I'm talking about when I was in college. I'm 22, no, not 22, because I moved out at 19. I was like 18, 19, whatever. My dad, I'm full grown. I got beard. He got a beard. He kissed me on the head every night. Like, you gonna get this love. You gonna get this love. And they used to act like I didn't like it. And I wasn't like, Daddy, come kiss me. But when he did it, I was like, respect, fam. Respect. Because I'm an affectionate person. My love language is affection. And he was like, you live in this house, you gonna get this kiss on the head. From when I was 7 to 19, you gonna get this kiss on the head. Yeah, so my dad was like, good night, son. God bless you. He'd say a little prayer every night. He ain't tuck me in because I'm a boss. He ain't tuck me in because I'm a boss. But he did give the little kiss on the head. But I'm a boss. He ain't tucked me in. My coverage was tucked. All right, so don't get it twisted. But that's why I can lovingly express that to my son, because on the internet, it's funny, I post videos of my, me hugging the boys, kissing the boys, and people be like, yo, you mad soft, your son's gonna be gay. And had I not had a father teach me that I could be that, it would have been society telling me what was cool and not cool. And I would be out here raising my sons to think it's not okay to express your emotions. There's a video called When Kids Kisses a Tackle. Jay-Z and JoJo are kissing me on the cheek like this. It's like 4 years old now. And people it got posted a lot and went viral a little bit. And people was like, you can raise them to be soft. And I'm like, where's your father? Your father didn't hug you, didn't love you. Where your daddy at? It's okay. It's okay for you to hug your sons and kiss them. They want to be hugged and kissed. They want to know it's okay to cry. Sometimes when my kid cry, I be like, you can cry. I don't try and stump out their cries. If you get hurt, your knees bleeding, and you let it go ahead and cry. I'm not going to stifle a human emotion. You're not going to be a whine and cry baby and cry for no reason, but we be out here not even let the kids cry when they need to cry. Don't be no crybaby. He broke his leg in half, so walk it off. His leg piece is across the street. Walk it off, fam. Walk it off. Ain't no tears. He don't have a leg. Ain't no tears. So I say all that to say, the reason we have these issues in our society, the reason a story like this, which is so atrocious and so tragic, can even happen, is because we don't have strong families in our communities. And we got people beating the odds all the time. Everybody's beating the odds. You're raising a family, raising children alone, you are beating the odds. Even if you have child support, but man, most of my female friends who are raising kids alone, who are supposed to get child support, are getting either none or not the required amount that the state provides, or not enough to do it. They just out here making it. I mean, and it is a shame that I had to take more tests to flip burgers at Burger King than to get kids, and people just be out here like abandoning their children. Unequivocally abandoning their children and their responsibilities. Like, if you're not going to be there physically, that's bad enough. But if you ain't going to throw no money toward this baby, like, come on. I know this is bad, but I almost say this. I would almost rather you sell drugs than not try. Now, I don't want you to go to jail, but I can respect a man who's like, Mom, I'm selling drugs. Then somebody who's just like, I'm not going to do nothing. Like, help out. And I say that in jest, guys. I don't want you to sell heroin. But do something, man. Like, how you call yourself like, people call themselves a man because they don't cry, and you ain't a man because you don't cry. You're a man when you take responsibility for your actions and step up to the, it's not even like stepping up to the plate. I don't like to say step up to the plate. It's not even that. Because that means, like, stepping up to the plate implies you're doing more than you should. Taking responsibility for a small human you created is the bare minimum. That's not stepping up to the plate. Like, oh, he really stepped up and took care of it. No. When I got Melissa pregnant, me working and helping pay for them is not stepping up to the plate. That is the bare minimum. Going and my dad raising 3 kids that are not his own, you can call that stepping up to the plate. Because that was more than the bare minimum. But let's call it what it is. The bare minimum. Me taking care of Zay and JoJo is the bare minimum. The reason people are like, man, Kev, you the man, is because we don't see it enough. We don't see enough people, men especially, doing the bare minimum, that if a man does the bare minimum, it looks extraordinary. Because the ordinary is taking responsibility for your children. That's the ordinary. But if so many people are not doing the ordinary, and this guy is just like, I'm just taking care of my kid. What? You go to your son's soccer game? Like, yes. There's nothing extra about that. He's my son. But you don't see it so much and that's why I take everything with a grain of salt. Like, I appreciate the compliments and all that, but I'm not doing nothing special. Staying with my wife, loving my wife, spending time with my family, spending time with my sons, not cheating on my wife, raising my kids. I am doing nothing extraordinary. Nothing. Nothing that I do is extraordinary. I don't really go above and beyond. I'm just doing what a husband and father should do. It's just that a lot of men are not doing that. So it looks better than it really is. I'm average, man. It's my reasonable service. Yes, Mr. Flowers. It's my reasonable service. Ordinary has become extraordinary because the bar for ordinary is so low. And that's how we get these stories of 2-year-olds dying. Because at first we're just like outraged. Oh, how could she go and strip and leave her baby alone? I don't think that was her first choice. She probably doesn't make a lot of money. She has to make money somehow. She probably doesn't have enough ends to make ends meet. So you have to be forced. It's like that girl, the black lady a couple years ago who left her kids in the car while she went for a job interview. It's like, you're cursed if you do, you're cursed if you don't. What is you supposed to do? Your baby's hungry. You can't feed them. You don't have money. You're forced to make decisions that make you look like an evil person, when in actuality, you shouldn't be in that position. You shouldn't be in the position that you have to leave your daughter alone overnight. There should be somebody else to help you. A lot of people work nights, but people have somebody else to stay at home. My guy, Dwayne 21, be on here. He works nights, but his wife's at home. So it's easy to blame this mother, and she deserves a certain amount of blame. But let's not. What I don't like, and this is why the race conversation never goes the right way. Things don't happen in a vacuum. We look at a symptom and point out a symptom as the problem and not the problem. It's like if I kept sneezing, you're like, bro, sneezing, bro, quit sneezing. But nobody helps me get cured for pneumonia. It's a terrible analogy. Let me start over. That was just going terribly left. Let me think of a better analogy. It's like these cops, this is a true story, beat this man up and then charge him for bleeding on their uniform. And it's like, yo, you bled on my uniform. Well, you beat me up. I watched this documentary on the Crips and Bloods, and I love documentaries about history. And it chronicled how the Crips and Bloods came from the drug epidemic and the destruction of the Black Panther Party by the government. Poverty, drugs, the destruction of community is what created the Crips and Bloods and gang warfare and the cycle. Now we just lock up somebody for selling drugs when the reason he sells drugs is a result. I mean, this thing went back to race, and it was in Los Angeles, how people had careers. General Mills or General Motors and Ford and Chrysler had plants, and people had jobs. They took those plants out, the jobs went out, introduced crack, and just like that, whole community done. And now it's like, well, you selling drugs. Well, the reason I'm selling drugs is because the 4 men in my family ahead of me sold drugs and were in prison. The education system sucks. There's really no way for me to feed my family. I go to jail, which makes it harder for me to get a job, in addition to the color of my skin and the lack of skills, lack of education. So now I almost have no other choice but to do this. But it's easier to just say black men love selling drugs. It's the simplest thing is cocaine in its purest form. If you get caught with cocaine raw, and if you get caught with a crack rock, and a crack rock is a derivative of cocaine. You need raw cocaine to make crack. Crack is cocaine mixed with baking powder, baking soda. That's where the song "Baking Soda, I Got Baking Soda" comes from. How on earth? Now, cocaine usually is for people with money. Crack was for poor people. How can you send somebody to jail for a cheaper version of a real drug? Not to mention, cocaine and cartels, the ebb and flow of that is a lot of times influenced and controlled by the CIA. Another scope for another day. But let's stop addressing the black man selling crack and not address the government helping to ship cocaine. Let's stop saying prison, all black men going to prison, when the prison system we currently have is a for-profit system. And when you have a for-profit system, you need customers. And customers are prisoners. It is not in a for-profit prison's best interest to not be full. So you want to bribe a judge? I need more prisoners. I'm running out of time. Listen, guys, I could talk about this stuff all day, but I got to go to work and take care of my kids so these type of things don't happen. God bless you. God keep you. I'll do something funny later on. I might get tased on Periscope at work today because I don't like to end these on these things. But God bless you. God keep you. We'll see you at the conference.